Hello everyone, this is the third video in the series of video lectures on digital communication. The topic for discussion today is problems based on Gram-Smith orthogonalization procedure. I'm going to use GSO for Gram-Smith orthogonalization procedure. Before we really go into the numerical part of this topic, let us recall what we have learned in the previous two videos. The first concept that we have learned is called signal space. Pretty much like vector space, there is a concept called signal space, a space filled with signals where signals are treated as vectors. What is the dimension of the signal space? It is equal to number of basis function. To know more about basis function, refer video number 1 of the series. How do we get idea about the number of basis function? It is equal to number of linearly independent signals in a given set of signal. To know more about linearly dependency and independency of signal, refer video number 2. Suppose we have been provided with a set of signals, and if all the signals are orthogonal, then there is no problem because signal won't interfere with each other being orthogonal. In case there is a signal which is non-orthogonal, then there is going to be a problem because there will be interference. Under that scenario, GSO procedure comes very handy. GSO procedure allows you the construction of orthonormal basis function. What is the motive for the construction of orthonormal basis function? If orthonormal basis function are determined, we can represent any signal in the signal space as linear combination of these orthonormal basis functions. How many steps are involved in GSO procedure? Basically, there are two steps. First step is the identification of linearly independent signals from the given set of signals. Second step is the formation of orthonormal basis function from linearly independent signals. Having this amount of understanding, we are good to go to attempt solving problem based on GSO. Alright, let us take this problem. In this problem, we need to determine a set of orthonormal basis function from the given set of signal. Also, we need to develop signal space diagram. So this is the set of signals given to us. There are basically 4 signals, signal 1, 2, 3 and 4. We know that there are 2 steps in GSO procedure. The first step is the identification of linearly independent signals. If we look closely in the set of signals, signal number 1 and 3 together combine to form signal number 4. That means signal number 4 is dependent on signal number 1 and signal number 3. So we can quote that signal number 4 is linearly dependent on the combination of signal number 1 and signal number 3. Right, like this. Again, if we look closely to the set of signals given, what we find out that signal number 1, 2 and 3 are not at all dependent on each other. So we can make or we can declare here that signal number 1, 2 and 3 are linearly independent signal. Okay. If you see step number 1, it has been written that it is a process to get a reduced set of n linearly independent signal from any given set of m signals. Initially 4 signals are given to us, so I have put m is equal to 4. After that, we have seen out of 4, one signal is dependent, that is the fourth signal, dependent on first and third. So one signal is dependent and 3 signals are independent. So from m is equal to 4, we got a reduced set of signal n is equal to 3, that is 3 linearly independent signals. Why we are focusing so much on linearly independent signals? Because if you have the knowledge of linearly independent signal, it gives you idea about number of basis function required. So there are 3 basis functions required, phi 1t, phi 2t and phi 3t, because there are 3 linearly independent signals. I think we are done with step number 1. it is time to go and find out about step number 2, which is formation or the construction of orthonormal basis function set. Now, since the fourth signal is dependent signal, for the further discussion, we will not consider fourth signal. For all the discussion, we will only consider signal number 1, 2 and 3. Fourth will be out of context. Alright, so this is the step number 2. Construction of n orthonormal basis function. I'll remind you again, n is equal to 3 because we have 3 linearly independent signals. To find out signals as a linear combination of basis function, we have an equation called synthesizer equation, like this. I can represent signal 1, 2 and 3 by varying the value of I and j in the synthesizer equation to get all of these three equations. For example, I can put I is equal to 1 and n is equal to 1 to get signal number 1 like this. In the RHS, you have basis function which is given by phi 1t. In the LHS, you have signal number 1. Similarly, if I put I is equal to 2 and n is equal to 2, I get signal number 2. It is a combination of phi 1t and phi 2t. Similarly, if I put I is equal to 3 and n is equal to 3, I get the third function. That is, signal 3 is represented in terms of 3 basis function, phi 1t, phi 2t and phi 3t. In fact, all the signals are represented in terms of 3 basis function. Whatever is not there will be considered 0. What is these things which are depicted here in red color? They are nothing but in terms of equation, they are called constant coefficient. S11, S21, S22, S31, S32, S33. They are the constant coefficients of basis function. In terms of signal space diagram, they are called coordinates. In terms of signals, they are known as projections. Alright, let us know more about these coefficients. In order to find out signal number 1, 2 and 3, we need to find out these constant coefficient values. Let us discuss more about these constant coefficients. We have 6 constant coefficients to be determined: S11, S21, S22, S31, S32 and S33. Now, if the two signals are non-orthogonal, then you have to find out projections. Now, if you look to the 3 signals given in the question, signal number 1, 2 and 3, and if you focus on signal number 1 and 2, there is some common area between signal number 1 and signal number 2. That means if you multiply signal number 1 and 2 and take the area, that means if you integrate them, you're going to find out some value. That means they are non-orthogonal. In case the value would have been 0, it would have been orthogonal. Since the two signals are non-orthogonal, you can project one signal on the top of another signal. So I can project signal number 2 on the basis function phi 1t, and that is represented by S21. Similarly, if I notice signal number 1, signal number 2 and 3, 1 is already covered. Signal number 2 and 3, again there is some common area. So signal number 2 and 3 are also non-orthogonal. So we need to find out projection. Now if I focus on signal number 1 and 3, there is no common area. That means if I multiply them and take the integration, I'll get 0. I'll end up getting 0. So we can declare that signal number 1 and 3 are orthogonal to each other. That means we cannot project signal number 3 in terms of signal number 1 or in terms of basis function 1. So the value of S31 is going to be 0. If you focus in equation number 4, there is S31. So S31 is going to be 0. No need to determine the value of S31. It is obvious. Remaining constant coefficient need to be determined. Now if we want to find out the value of phi 1t, the first basis function, we have to proceed with equation number 2. Now if you focus on equation number 2, S1t is equal to S11 phi 1t. To do the analysis, we will take only signal number 1 in the discussion. Let us do that. Yeah, one thing more. To find out the projection, we need analyzer equation. To know more about the analyzer equation, you can refer video number 1. Analyzer equation is a simple integral equation which helps you to find out the projection of signal over the basis function. For example, if you want to find out S32, put I is equal to 3 and J is equal to 2 in the equation number 5 and get the value. Alright, let us find out phi 1t with the help of equation number 2 here. Okay. Now for that we need only one signal, that is signal number 1. The equation we have is S1t is equal to S11 phi 1t. Pretty much obvious. What is phi 1t? It is S1t upon S11. I want you to note down this. Now what is S11? S11 is the projection of signal number 1 on basis function 1, phi 1t. It is basically the root of energy of signal 1. That's what I have mentioned here. S11 is root of E1, where E1 is the energy of signal 1. Now signal 1 is represented on your screen in the left hand side. You can notice that. We can find out energy by using the energy formula. The limit goes from 0 to t by 3 and the amplitude of the signal is 1. Putting these values in the formula, you'll end up getting E1 is equal to t by 3. What we can do, we can take equation number 1 and 3 and put down the values 1, 2 and 3 if we consider, and put down the values, we'll end up getting phi 1t. Phi 1t is S1t divided by root of t by 3. We can rearrange this. So phi 1t can be written like this. Now S1t is already displaced in the left hand side of the screen. Phi 1t we can plot in the right hand side of the screen. So it will be like this. It is root of 3 by t times of S1t. So we can represent it like this. Okay, now we have the first basis function phi 1t. We need to find out second basis function. For that we are going to use equation S2t is equal to S21 times of phi 1t plus S22 times of phi 2t. Let us do that. And obviously we have to use two signals, signal number 1 and signal number 2. Alright. We have this equation here. From the equation, what is phi 2t? This is phi 2t. Now, what I have assumed numerator as G2t. What is S22? S22 is root of E2. And notice here, what is E2? E2 is the energy of signal G2, the numerator. Okay. So E2 is the energy of signal G2. Now our main idea here is to find out equation number 2 here, that is G2t. G2t is S2t minus S21 phi 1t. We have S2t here. We also have phi 1t. Let us bring phi 1t. We have phi 1t as well. What we don't have is S21. If you see here, what we don't have is S21. So we need to figure out S21. What is this S21? S21 is the projection of signal 2 on basis function phi 1t, which is given by the analyzer equation right in front of you. So if you notice here, what we have to find, equation number 4, the product of S21 and phi 1t. Alright, so in the left hand side of the screen, S21 and phi 1t is given to you. We can do the product straight away. If you do the product of S21 and phi 1t, what we'll get? We'll end up getting a signal which lies between 0 to t by 3 and the amplitude 1 multiplied with root of 3 by t will end up giving you this. This is S2t into phi 1t. Now let us go back to the equation number 4. So we have this product here. We need to integrate this product. Integration is nothing, basically it is finding out the area of the given signal. So we have the signal here. We can find out the area quickly. Let us find out the area. So area is equal to this, length into width. We end up getting T by 3. We can plot S21 actually. Let us plot this. So this is S21. Now we have S21 here, which is going from 0 to T by 3, and the amplitude of that is root of T by 3. Now this S21 value can be directly put in equation number 2 here. We need to multiply S21 with phi1t. Alright. So we have phi1t, we have S21, both are going from 0 to T by 3. If you notice them clearly, both are going from 0 to T by 3. However, their amplitudes are different. If I multiply their amplitude, that is root of T by 3 from here, and root of 3 by T from here, and root of T by 3 from here, I'll end up getting 1 as the amplitude. However, the time period will still be between 0 to T by 3. Let us plot the signal. So the signal will look like this. Now I would like to get your attention back to equation number 2. So equation number 2 says that G2T is equal to S2T minus S21 phi1T. So we have S2T here. We have S21 phi1T here. We need to subtract this signal. Let me clear all this to make you. We need to subtract this signal from this signal to get G2T finally. Equation number 2. Focus on equation number 2. Okay. So equation number 2 is subtraction of S2T minus S21 phi1T. S2T goes from 0 to T by 3, whereas S21 phi1T goes from 0 to T by 3. However, the amplitude of S2T and the amplitude of this signal is same. We'll end up getting a signal that lies between T by 3 to 2T by 3. Let us plot the signal. Okay, we got the signal. Let me clear everything. Okay, so we have got the signal now, which is between T by 3 to 2T by 3. Now, I would like to get your attention back to equation number 3. That is S22 is root of E2, and E2 is the energy of signal G2T. We have the signal G2T. Okay, and E2 is nothing but finding out the area here. The energy is nothing but finding out the area here, because amplitude is 1. If the amplitude would have been different, we have to use the basic equation, that is integration of gt squared dt. But anyway, amplitude is 1, so we can directly find out the area. The width is T by 3 and the length is 1. So area, that is energy of the signal G2T, that is E2T, is going to be this. Alright, so we have equation number 6 here, which is nothing but the energy of signal G2T. Now, with the help of equation number 1 here and equation number 6 here, I can find out the second basis function phi 2t. Let us put the values. Okay. To write it more appropriately, phi 2t is root of 3 by t times of G2t. Okay. Let us plot this. So this is the plot we have. Finally, we have found out the second basis function phi 2t. Alright, so phi 1t we have determined, phi 2t we have found out. Our third target is to determine phi 3t, that is the third basis function. For that, we will be requiring all three signals, signal number 1, 2 and 3, and also the basis function phi 1t and phi 2t. Okay, let us do that. Okay, so we have pulled out all the three signals S1, S2 and S3T. Alright, and we need the basis functions as well. Now, to find out the basis function phi 3t, we have this equation. Yeah, this is the equation we have. You know that S31, S32 and S33 are nothing but coordinates. S31 we have already found out because third and one signal was orthogonal, so S31 is equal to 0. Okay, let us see what is phi 3t. From the above equation, easily we can determine what is phi 3t. Yes, this is phi 3t. Now, the numerator here is written in terms of G3t. Okay, and S33 is nothing but root of E3, that is, and E3 is energy of signal G3t. Okay, so if you focus on equation number 3, which is nothing but the numerator of equation number 1. All right, let me bring it back. Okay, now we need to find out this equation so that we can plot equation number 3, that is G3t, so that we can plot G3t and finally find out the area of G3t, that is E3. Once we can find out E3, we can take the value root of E3, put in equation number 1 and can find phi 3t. Now, if you notice that S31 was already 0, so equation number 3 will be reduced. Okay, equation number 3 will be reduced like this. So our work has been reduced now. What we need to figure out is equation number 4. If we are able to find out equation number 4, that is S3t minus S32 phi 2t. We have the value of phi 2t. We also have the value of S3t. These are the signals which are already drawn in the left hand side. Let me bring phi 2t as well. Yes, so we have phi 2t as well. We have S3t as well in the left hand side of the screen. But what we don't have is S32, and S32 is nothing but the projection of signal number 3 on phi 2t. Okay, for this we have a simple formula. Alright, so we need to find out this product S3 into phi 2t. S3 is here, phi 2t is here. We can multiply them straight away. On multiplying, we'll end up getting this signal. I hope this is a simple multiplication, you can do it. Signal S3t goes from t by 3 to t, whereas the signal phi 2t goes from t by 3 to 2t by 3. The resultant will go from t by 3 to 2t by 3. Amplitude changes to root of 3 by t. So this is the signal we have. Now, since we have the product, we can take the integration now. Integration is nothing but just to determine the area of this signal. Let us find out the area. If you find out the area, you will find out S32. So you see, it is just finding out the area of this signal. Alright, so we have found out S32. Now S32, that is equation number 6 value, has to be put back into equation number 4. Okay, but equation number 4 says that there's a product of S32 and phi 2t. There's a product of S32 and phi 2t. So we have S32 phi 2t, that is S31. Okay, let me draw this S32. Okay, we have S32 here. Okay, and we also have phi 2t. I can multiply and get this term. Okay, let us multiply them. If you multiply, you'll end up getting this signal. Alright, so again, let us go to equation number 4, which says that G3t is the subtraction of S3t minus S32 phi 2. So S3t is here, this signal is here. We can subtract both of them. Signal S32 phi 2t, this signal should be subtracted from this signal. In doing so, we'll end up getting this. This is the signal G3T. Now E3 is the energy of signal G3T. So let us find it out. Energy turned out to be this. With the help of equation 1 and 7, we can find out the value of phi 3t. To write it more appropriately, phi 3t is root of 3 by t times of G3t. Okay. So we have found out the third basis function. Now let us conclude this. Okay, this is our third basis function. Okay. Now let us conclude this. We have found out phi 1t, phi 2t and phi 3t. In doing so, we ended up getting first coordinate, that is S11. In finding out phi 2t, we have found out two coordinates S21 and S22 like this. And in determining phi 3t, we have found out three coordinates like this. S1t is S11 times of phi 1t. It can also be written like this. The coefficient of phi 2 and phi 3 in terms of signal 1 I have given 0. Okay, so the same signal S1t, the same signal here can be written like this. So you see here these coefficient I have made 0, so there's no difference between both of them. Similarly, we know that S2t is like this, which can also be written like this. The third coefficient of phi 3t is made 0 here. Similarly, S3t had all the coefficients, so we'll put like this. Now, using all the values, we can write the equation using all these 6 values. We can write the equations like this: S1t, similarly S2t and S3t. S3t. What about signal number 4? Now signal number 4 was dependent on the combination of signal number 1 and signal number 3, or the summation of signal number 1 and signal number 3. So let me write it. S4t was the summation of signal number 1 and signal number 3. So we have signal number 1 and signal number 3. We can add them directly. We'll end up getting this. So we have all the 4 signals now. We have the last job pending, that is to develop a signal space diagram or constellation diagram. What will be the dimension of constellation diagram? It is going to be 3-dimensional space, because we have 3 basis function: phi 1t, phi 2t and phi 3t. Okay, so we have these 4 signals. Notice here, these root of t by 3, 0 and 0 are the coordinates of signal 1. Root of t by 3, root of t by 3 and 0 are the coordinates of signal 2. 0, root of t by 3 and root of t by 3 is the coordinate of signal 3. And root of t by 3, root of t by 3 and root of t by 3 are the coordinates of signal 4. You can see that our space is going to be 3-dimensional. Those 3 dimensions will be represented by 3 basis function: phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3. Let me clear all this. Okay, let us make a 3-dimensional signal space. So this is the signal space. Let us use the 3 dimensions, 3 perpendicular axes represented by phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3 basis function. Now the coordinates of first signal is root of t by 3, 0 and 0. So it will be like this. Similarly, the coordinates of signal number 2 is root of t by 3, root of t by 3 and 0. So it will be in the phi 1, phi 2 plane like this. Similarly, the coordinates of third signal is 0, root of t by 3, root of t by 3. So it is going to in phi 2, phi 3 plane like this. All right, so we have third signal. What about the fourth signal? The fourth signal coordinates are root of t by 3, root of t by 3, root of t by 3. So it is in equidistance from all the three planes, somewhere here. It might appear that signal number 4 is appearing in the origin, but it is not. To make you get out of the confusion, let me use these vectors. Now I hope you understand that signal 4 is not at the origin, but it is at equal distance from all the three planes, phi 1, phi 3, phi 1, phi 2 and phi 1, phi 3. It is at a equal distance, that is root of t by 3. Okay, so it is not at the origin. So this is basically a constellation diagram. I hope you have understand. It is a big problem. One by one, step by step, you have to do it to get the real understanding. Okay, let us do one more problem here, and this time we'll try to do it little faster. Let's do another problem based on GSO procedure. Again, we have been given with three set of signals and we need to find out set of orthonormal basis function. And we have to develop the signal space diagram or the constellation diagram. Signal space diagram and constellation diagrams are the same thing. Now the given set of signal S1, S2 and S3T, if you notice closely, signal number 1 is actually the combination of signal number 2 and 3. Alright, so initially M is equal to 3 because 3 signals has been given. Signal number 1 is linearly dependent on signal number 2 and 3. Here I have written that. So out of a set of 3 signal, one of the signal is linearly dependent. Now we are been left with 2 signals, signal number 2 and 3. If we look them closely, there is no dependency on signal number 2 and signal number 3. So we can quote that there are two linearly independent signals, signal number 2 and signal number 3. Okay, so how many basis function we require to have a signal space diagram? We require two basis function, phi 1t and phi 2t. So our signal space diagram is going to be two dimensional, phi 1t and phi 2t. We are done with step number 1. Now let us move toward step number 2. Now for further discussion, we are going to ignore signal number 1 because it is linearly dependent, and we'll be doing a discussion based on signal number 2 and 3. Let us do that. So let us take these signals, signal number 2 and 3. If you notice closely, signal number 2 and 3 are orthogonal to each other because there is no common area between signal number 2 and signal number 3. If you multiply them and do the integration, you'll end up getting 0. So you can clearly say that signal number 2 and signal number 3 are orthogonal to each other. Hence, there is no need of projection. That is, S32 is going to be 0 or S23 is also going to be 0. Okay. So also we have established the fact that our signal space diagram is going to be two dimensional, phi 1 and phi 2, like this. Okay, also we have seen that S2 and S3, the signal 2 and signal 3 are also orthogonal. I can put S1, S2 here and S3 here. They are at a distance of pi by 2, separated at a distance of pi by 2, so they are orthogonal to each other. We need to find out the coordinates. So I can represent signal S2 like this. S22 is S22, signal S2t is equal to S22 times of phi 1t. Okay, why? Because S2, signal S2 is projected here on phi 1. So S22 is times of phi 1t. Okay, similarly S3 can be written as S33 times of phi 2t. Clearly, what is phi 1t and phi 2t? Phi 1t is going to be S2t divided by S22. What is S22? S22 is root of E2, E2 being the energy of signal 2. Okay. So this is the thing, phi 1t, phi 2t, S22, S33. We need to find out E2 and E3. E2 is the energy of signal 2. E3 is the energy of signal 3. Where are these signals? These signals are in the left hand side of the screen. you can easily find out the value of E2 and E3. The value of E2 is going to be how much? Since the amplitude is not 1 for S2 and S3, we need to use the basic formula. You'll end up getting E2 is equal to 18 and root of E2 is equal to 3 by 3 root 2. So S22 value is 3 root 2. Similarly, S33 value is also 3 root 2. Since we have the value of S22 and S33, with the help of equation 1 and 2, we can write like this. Equation number 1 can be written like this. The coefficient of second basis function for equation number 2 is equal to 0. You can notice here I have made it as 0. Okay, because the signal is two-dimensional. Signal is in two-dimensional space. One of the dimension for the signal is 0. Similarly, signal number 3, the first coefficient of first basis function is made 0. Putting the value of S22 and S33, we get the coordinate of signal as, what is the coordinate of signal S2? Root of 3 root 2 and 0. What is the coordinate of signal S3? 0 and 3 root 2. I'm saying from here, the coordinate of signal 2 is 3 root 2 and 0, while the coordinate of signal S3 is 0 and 3 root 2. I hope it is clear now. Having all set, we can plot the signals in the signal space. But what about signal number 1? Signal number 1 is dependent on signal number 2 and signal number 3. So let us find it out. Okay, so signal number 1 is S2 plus S3. Once you add S2 and S3, you'll end up getting signal number 1 like this. So for all the three signals to represent in two-dimensional space, we have the coordinates. Let us plot them one by one. S2 is already plotted. The coordinates are given like this. So S2 and S3 coordinates are quite clear to you. Similarly, S1 can be plotted like this. So this is the problem that we have solved in a lesser time. I hope you can do other problems related to GSO using this video.